everybody. Welcome to the Talking Heartland podcast. And this is a show where we love to talk all things Heartland. And we are talking about season 17, episodes 4 and 5. It's going to be a ton of fun. And I'm film critic Rach Wagner, and Michelle Benson is here.
Hey everyone.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
How are things over there in Scotland going for you?
Yeah, we're coming into like the nicer weather now,
Oh,
so
that's
it's
good.
it's it's not perfect. Still raining most of the time, but a bit more daylight. It's lasting a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's picking up a bit.
My
We're fully in.
sister lives in Manchester. And so I've been noticing she's been out a lot more with her puppy lately. She's been having a lot of fun over there. I mean, it's beautiful this time of year.
hmm Yeah, and
Do you get the allergies real bad during this
it's
time?
weird. Yeah, it's weird. I never ever got allergies growing up and throughout my 20s, throughout my 30s. Like it really has only been the last like 3 or 4 years
Yeah.
that it's affected me, just kind of out of the blue. And it's not bad. It's definitely not as bad as a lot of people have to deal with, but it's a little strange to have it just sort of creep up on
Yeah.
us later in life.
Allergies are weird like that. I don't have too bad of allergies unless I'm around cats, then it gets me as sneezing. But and then my eyes get super red and puffy when I'm around cats. And of course, that means they love me. So if I'm ever in a room with a cat where they want to sit on my lap, they want to it's like they
You can
know.
sense it. Yeah.
Yes. Um, but I had this horrible allergy attack this last trip to Texas. There's
hmm
this thing called cedar that I guess I'm just not used to, even though I've been to Texas twice before and didn't have any problem. And once was at the South by Southwest Film Festival, and I didn't have any problem for that trip. But this trip, whew, it was brutal. It's
Like really bad thing that I've had is it was quite a while back, and the only allergy sort of thing that I'd had up until that point, it was when I was in Florida and just hives with the sun just because
oh yeah.
my pale Scottish like just not equipped to deal with it.
That's funny. Yeah, you're like, I'm not built for this kind of thing. Uh, yeah. Well, we are here to talk about episodes 4 and 5. They were pretty fun. I was definitely charmed by them. After I finished watching them, this was last week. I immediately texted you. I'm like, oh, they're so sweet. So that'll be fun to talk about. Heartwarming.
Mm.
Anytime that they somehow manage to bring up the rocks, the Heartland
hmm
Rocks ceremony thing, that always gets me. And Shane and his rock, remembering that moment, very sweet. Everything going on. I like Shane. I like Shane as a
hmm
character.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
they sort of struck gold with the fact that he sort of developed into a really good adult actor as
yeah,
well. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. They've been very lucky with their casting. I mean, I guess they had to have a couple different Katies over the years, but for the most part, their child actors have really done well.
Mm-hmm.
Because the show's
Yeah.
been on so long that these actors have been able to really
Yeah,
grow.
I grew up.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, Amy being Amber slash Amy being the most, but with Georgie and Lisa
hmm
and uh and Mallory and
Yeah,
Jessica, and they all are excellent.
agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the first episode that we're talking about is called A Piece Apart. Amy must deal with Lindy's sudden fear of horses. Logan blames himself for Miley's accident, and Tim enlists the family to make Shane's return to Heartland. So
Mm.
overall, what do you think about this episode?
I really liked this episode, and I
Yeah.
immediately went and waiting to see who had wrote the episode. And it's one of the showrunners, Alexandra Clark. It
Yes.
definitely felt like it had um someone at the helm that you know I don't know how long she's been involved in terms of the show from the very beginning, but it definitely felt like it was
Well,
It felt special.
Alexandra Clark is the daughter of Heather Conkey, who is the main showrunner of the show and now they're both doing The Way Home.
Mm.
And we just had them on both of them on the podcast. So if you want to hear more from Alexandra Clark, you check out our interview. But this was also directed by Chris Potter. So it's just like a Hallmarkies podcast love fest because we just talked to Chris Potter a couple weeks ago as well. So yeah, fun.
It was just so well written, and I love the fact that the show didn't like sugarcoat it. Like it really held Amy and Lou accountable for, not having
Yeah,
a relationship with Shane because, then like he's right, he was a kid, like, and he was sort of thrust into this family. It was really on them, probably a little bit more on Lou to
right.
reach out and maintain a relationship, and on Tim as well, because Tim also, from what I gathered, didn't really have much of a relationship with Shane after he left as well. They sort of like, I don't want to say abandoned, but it sort of felt like they just sort of moved on with their life and kind of forgot all about the fact that they have
Yeah,
a brother. Like
yeah.
that's really what it was like. It just wasn't on the show, and I like that the show was like
And I
we can't
remember,
ignore that. We
yeah, I
can't just
remember talking about that in our recaps, being like, I guess they're just gonna pretend like he didn't have a son.
yeah. That's sort of what it was like, and
Yeah.
yeah. So I do think the writers took a little bit of responsibility and were like, we can't, write ourselves out of this. Like
hmm
they have to just call it what it was.
Yeah,
And I thought it led to some really great scenes with Lou and Amy.
yeah, yeah. And I think that it would be hard to have this person that like you're supposed to have this bond with, and the fact that you're supposed to have this relationship makes it harder to have the relationship, I would think. There's this
Yeah,
like pressure.
yeah. And even like Jack is saying things like, "You'll always have a place here," and it's like, well, was Jack reaching out to him in this time
Yeah,
as well? Like,
it's true.
yeah,
hmm Yeah, and I can imagine it's somewhat similar to how people feel like, or how when one of my siblings has gotten married or has a significant other, it's like all of a sudden you have this new family member that of course you love, and you love the fact that they love your sibling, but just it's just a new person that you have to kind of get used to, and I can imagine that can be a little bit awkward at first.
yeah,
you
very
know
much so.
hmm so Lou, she is just really struggling with post mayoral life. Got insomnia. She's not sleeping well. She's kind of a mess.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
she doesn't have like five jobs at
Yeah.
once. She doesn't know how to cope.
Yes. And and then she says at one point to her dad, he's saying, you got to be nicer to Shane. And Lou says, you can't ask for things we can't give you. You've asked for it my whole life.
Hmm.
And of course, Shane overhears this. And this seems like a strange thing for Lou to say,
Yeah,
the out of like the blue to kind of breathe. It's been a long time since Tim really asked anything of Lou.
yeah. I mean, probably the most recent was the election, but once
But he
like
didn't
he
really
did it,
ask
he
anything
didn't.
of her.
Yeah.
He was giving to her. He was her manager. He was trying to help her. And
And
and maybe he's a little overbearing, but it's been a while since there was like, Tim's
hmm
been on a pretty good behavior streak for quite a while.
yeah, he's been really good these last, few these two episodes as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even when he was sort of pushing the election thing, like he didn't push as much as he has been in previous
Yeah.
seasons. Um, so yeah, I did think that was a little unfair. I mean, even with working with Jessica, that's not something that he was involved with in any way. That was very much just Lou and Jessica. That it feels
Mm-hmm.
like in previous seasons, like he would have sort of orchestrated that whole like art gallery
Uh-huh.
thing. But yeah,
You know
it's a
what I'm
little unfair.
surprised they have never done is since Lou was in, she was a trick writer, wasn't she? At the beginning?
Um,
Like she was a lot younger.
a horse jumper, so it's
Horse
pretty
jump
much
or
the
she was a jumper. Well,
Georgie.
yeah, they should bring that back
Hmm.
and give her like it would be great to see her like I'll
Have
maybe
a horse storyline, yeah,
yeah, like mentoring somebody or something. And because was it she was in like the pageantry and stuff like that, wasn't she?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
She was like the I don't know what it's called, but like the homecoming queen, but it's
Yeah.
like the horse version of that.
And so that would be a way to kind of
Yeah, even
get
like involved in things like
if
because
she
she's
was like in
very
charge of the
like
pageant and you could have her like maybe working with Miley or one of these other characters that's doing that. And I think that could be a really interesting thing to do with her character as
yeah,
opposed to her just being a nag. And that's one of the problems that Lou has as a character is that 90% of the time she's the resident nag.
yeah. It would be so good to see something like that because I feel bad again, but Logan just continues to not work
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah.
and the role that he's been put in of like
Mm,
being Amy's sort of mentee, like it just is not connecting with me.
yeah.
I'm sort of struggling with that, but it would be so interesting to see somebody at Lou's stage in life like have to relearn learn a whole
Yeah.
new thing, maybe like a particular horse or like someone like Miley sort of gets her into it, but
Yeah.
sort of having Amy be the one with all the knowledge and have to help Lou in that way, that would be
That
really
could be fun.
interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just something. And and they just managed to like forget about Peter for long stretches. Like, is he going to be on any more of this season? He's not in either of these.
Yeah,
So
he's
you
remotely.
lose you lose that. I mean, he's supposed to be the manager of the diner. Like,
Yeah,
what?
I was just about to say he's managing the diner remotely.
I guess.
Ho, ho, ho! We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/hallmarkies.
So she's just kind of nervous about Shane and trying to get that relationship. And then we have her, so she's trying to plan this party, this cookout basically, for Shane. And you can kind of tell when somebody's planning something with like a chip on their shoulder. This is basically what she's doing. But then you have Lisa. She asks for Jack to be her date to the dance, which was really cute, and says they have lessons at this dance studio. And you know
Mm-hmm.
what I think could have been really fun? Because at the same time you have Katie and maybe going to this dance and this whole weird conflict with Parker. You could have had Jack take the lessons with Katie. That would have been really cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt so bad for Kate in this episode.
Yeah, but it was kind of a weird spot to bring Parker back.
Yeah. And to make her so sort of dismissive of Katie and the diner and like yeah, it was
Well,
a
and
little cruel.
but I think Katie was also being pretty sensitive. Like she seemed to be offended by the fact that Parker had a boyfriend.
Like other people, other friends.
Right, yeah. So it was like a combination. She was like a little flighty, a little thoughtless, but like also Katie was being pretty sensitive, I think.
Hmm.
But I loved this whole Jack taking dance lessons. That was really cute.
Yeah, it was so cute. I love anytime we get Jack and Lisa. But
I
yeah, I
love
knew
them, yeah.
immediately this was going to be a struggle for.
Yeah, and so then this is where we get, like you said, we have Jack telling Shane, no matter where you are, you have a place here. The stone will always be yours.
Hmm.
So that's cute. And I guess so. Him and Lindy got their stones around the same time. They were saying, but
Yeah.
Lindy was like, "I was the baby." I forgot that. I forgot that. It was cute though. It was cute.
Yeah, it must have
And
been around the same time.
yeah, I guess so. I guess so. I mean, I need some kind of like database where I have all the rocks, all the stones cataloged. I'm sure many a fan. If you all have that and you want to help us out, give us that resource. Let us know. But we have this thing. Logan feels like a failure because of what happened with Miley. He's getting really nervous, and he says this. He says he's wants to quit, and Amy says, "This is a job you're good at, but I can't be the only one who believes that."
Hmm.
Which is true. And I think a part of it too is that like everything with Logan and Miley happens so fast
Yeah.
that it's hard to be kind of invested in that, and so it just makes his whole
It's
plot
very,
not as
yeah,
effective.
it feels, I mean, it's a horrible thing that he was involved in terms of like, he can't handle the responsibility of when it goes wrong. Um, and the fact that he sort of recognizes that, again, understand that that's probably a good thing. But
Yeah,
as a plot line and just watching it as a viewer, it comes across as very sort of woe is me. Um,
yeah. Because
and
then he
yes,
quits again at the end. He says, "One mistake could ruin everything. I can't let there be another mistake."
hmm
And yeah, because his character was really working for me when he was just in the group home, when
hmm
he was he was just more unique as opposed to just being kind of a struggling worker kind of plot. Like I don't know, I just feel like he was more interesting before.
yeah, and he doesn't have like a horse. That was always the thing that
That's true.
Amy has, her horses that we all know. She has Shadow now. Um,
Mm.
so even when she couldn't use, um, oh my God, I totally forgot the name.
Spartan.
Barton. Oh my God.
Yeah.
In the end, you had Georgie had Phoenix, so
Yeah,
they all, even Ty had Harley, so they always had the sort of horse connection.
it's true.
But yeah, he doesn't really have that. So,
That was fun when I interviewed Chris asking him about Champ.
hmm
And he said that there was a horse named Tonka who was Champ
hmm
that was finally retired, not for season 16. And so then they have a new one. It's fun to hear his relationship, that he had with this. He really had like a close relationship with Champ, which is kind of cool.
yeah, yeah, because even like, is it Viggo Mortensen when they were doing Lord of the Rings, like he adopted the horse that he had,
Oh yeah.
because they just developed such a like deep bond with the horse that he
Hmm.
ended up adopting that horse.
Yeah. So then we get a nice moment between. So Chloe comes. This is Shane's fiance. She comes, and I love them. They're cute, really cute pair, Chloe and Shane.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that
And
she's sort of like with him, like she understands what's going on and that he has to have this conversation, and she's like,
yeah,
supportive, but also when it gets to the point of the family just not being very obvious in their, they don't really know him, they don't know a lot of the details of his life, and things like allergies, and yeah, she's very much like on his side.
He says, you can't hold this inside. You have to talk about it.
Yeah.
And this is where Heartland really shines, is these family moments, heartfelt moments, is where it's really great. And I think that's why I walked away from this episode feeling really like, oh, this is so sweet. It's so good. I really enjoyed it. And this lovely moment between Tim and Lou, he says, you can't have your midlife crisis because I haven't had mine. That was funny. That was a good line. And so Shane says, you let me disappear. You never reached out to me after I left. That hurt. I thought we were family.
Yeah, that scene was so well written.
It was very good. It was very good. Yeah. And I'll reach out to this Shane actor because he is good.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor of this episode of the podcast. New from Harpeth Road Press, we have Lindsay Gibson's new perfect beach read called Fly Away Summer. Chef Lana Kelly hopes she can acquire the inn her family lost, but when it goes up for sale, the inn is snapped up by Hunter Graham of Graham Property Development in New York City, who plans to transform it into an event venue. Lana isn't so thrilled about her new neighbor, but could this be a case of enemies turned to lovers? Pick up Fly Away Summer wherever you purchase books or use the affiliate link below. Find out more about Lindsay and all the terrific new books from Harpeth Road at harpethroad.com. That's harpethroad.com.
He says that, and they kind of have the moment. We've also have in this episode, we have Lindy getting spooked. She'd seen Miley get thrown, so it scares her, and she gets kind of spooked on horses. And Amy says, how am I supposed to tell Lindy to face her fears when I can't face mine? So, her fears about socializing and so, yeah, she, I thought, it was a good moment for Amy and having to try to help Lindy. It was a cute little plot. And so then Amy and Lou talk to Shane and they apologize, which was nice.
Yeah. And hopefully it's like we don't, if the show goes like for another 10 years, it's not, a 10-year gap before we see him again.
Yeah, I know. It's true. And then, so Katie ends up going to this dance, and I thought she looked so pretty. She looked great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I forget who says this to her. It might have been Lou. It says, if you're feeling uncomfortable, it means you're taking risks in life. So that was sweet. And then because Lisa is chaperoning this, dance, and Jack is there with a corsage. It was very sweet.
Adorable.
So good. And then Katie, she has first she's dancing by herself, and then somebody asks her to dance, and she stays dancing by herself, and they all just dance together. It was cute.
Yeah,
it was fun.
It was a good moment for her. But yeah, hopefully with this motorbike type of situation, dirt biking, she gets like a whole new group of friends, because even like when we were seeing Parker all the time, the friendship also didn't make sense a lot because there was obviously like an age gap.
Yeah.
And we could never figure it out.
Right. Yeah, we're like, how old is Parker supposed to be? Or a little, because it was always a little unclear of how old Katie was supposed to be, because the actors changed, and it's like, how old is Katie? I'm still a little unsure.
Yeah, we're unsure, but it feels like they definitely aged her up.
Yeah. And
actors.
Yes. And so the wedding is going to be at the Heartland Ranch. He tells her, my mom and stepdad will be here, and Tim, he's just taking it like a champ. I look forward to it. So that's good, because he was the worst. Well, I mean, he was bad to Shane's mom, but he was even worse to Janice. That was like the worst time period. That was like the lowest point of Tim.
Yeah.
That year.
It's crazy how far he's come.
Yes, he really has come by quite far. And so then Miley gets on Rocky to help Lindy and starts to get her confidence back. And that was so sweet because at the beginning she wants her mom to throw away all her horse plushies. And then she says, "Mom, please don't throw away all my horse plushies." It's like, don't worry, I haven't. And then this is where Logan says that he's quitting. One mistake could ruin everything. I can't let there be another mistake. But it's interesting going over this. I'm like, it's fairly average. But after I saw it, I was like, oh. And I especially loved the Lisa and Jack and the dancing. It was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They look so good together.
Yeah. I give it like an 8. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I would go with that. Like, it was so well written.
It was.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Next episode is How to Say Goodbye. Amy and Jack train Blue for a competition. Lisa deals with a difficult loss. Lou lets Jessica down in their partnership for the gallery, and Katie secretly buys a used dirt bike. This was a fun episode as well. And I'm amazed. It's kind of more understandable with a horse like Spartan or Champ that they could have lots that looked, Spartan's just kind of a black horse, there's probably lots that look pretty close, Spartan. But this blue horse is so unique that I think it would be pretty tough. So I don't know if they just have the one or if they're able to kind of make ones look like him, but it's just such a beautiful, unique horse, this blue.
Yeah. Yeah, he's stunning. You'll probably have like some crazy like paint or something, some kind of way to make him look more similar to the original horse on camera.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of the most stunning horses that they've got on the show currently, because even Shadow, he's brown horse, and I'm sure that they've got quite a few doubles that were easier to get.
Yeah.
Have one of these like unique horses, like the one that had sort of the black spots, and yeah, it's definitely set a challenge for themselves.
Yeah. It's just a really beautiful horse, but it's got some fire, and it doesn't really like anybody but Jack to ride them.
Yeah, he's
even
a one-man horse.
Yeah, one-man horse. Yeah. So we get Nathan again. We've just been introduced to him briefly, and we get him back, and of course Spencer Lord, who I love, big fan, and he was on Mixed Baggage. Team Mixed Baggage, which I love so much. And I would love to have him. If anybody from I did reach out, I haven't heard it back, but I would love to talk to Spencer about Heartland and Mixed Baggage. But I just think he's super talented. But he's warning them of the cougar, and he tells them about this working cowboy contest. So just when we thought we heard about all the various competitions, there's a new one. I don't think we've gotten before.
Yeah, they'll never end. They'll always find something.
But
every time I see like a horse thing on TV, or like, have they done that on Heartland yet? Or like make a mental note of it, of like to point out when Heartland eventually does it, because they will.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I have been to a rodeo once and I really didn't like it, but I'd be curious to know if I would like it better now that I have like kind of an understanding of like a mild, very small understanding of what's going on. If I'd like it better now, I don't know. After covering the show. I would think so, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's the ultimate cowboy showdown is like a thing.
Mm,
I mean, I don't really understand what's different about this than rodeo. Than the various, the competitions. I don't really get quite the difference, but it's working cowboy contest. It seemed like they were kind of like moving the cows kind of around the pen
hmm
more, sort of, as opposed to the roping or the calving or the other activities that they do in the rodeo. I don't know, but it piques Jack's interest. He's curious about
hmm
this.
It's
And
interesting. They don't have like, 'cause we don't have that. We don't have many like sheep and things like that, but
oh yeah.
dogs. Like you use border collies to herd animals in Scotland, so I'm sure there are people that do it by horse, but
Mm,
mainly it's just done by dogs.
yeah, like in Babe.
hmm Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly like in Babe.
Yeah. One of my favorite movies. I love that so much. Uh, that'll do, pig. um, so Jack's interested, and I guess he has to do it with Blue. Like it's a specific course. Like that was what I was wondering, if like why couldn't Amy just go with Spartan?
Yeah, it's not like a
And it's specific. You sign up with a particular horse, I guess, when you
yeah.
sign up. And so Jess and Lou are having some conflict, which is no big surprise. They think them trying to manage this gallery is probably not going to go that well.
Yeah, it's the one storyline I've been dreading because
Uh-huh.
it's
So
it's
there's
just really
this,
frustrating.
yeah,
It's
so
like
there's
it's over and over
this,
again.
yeah, there's this grant, and the arts and culture grant, and she kind of uses some things to get the grant.
hmm
And then Rick gets upset because she, used her. He's like, you
Ex
use your
Memorial Way, yeah.
yeah, yeah, and uh, and then Jess is upset because the grant is a community grant and requires it to be a community space, not just
hmm
her space. But it's such a big space. It seems large. Like it would seem like Jess would kind of welcome the idea. Plus, like it would be a good thing for her
So much
business
pressure,
because
yeah. It
you're
takes so much pressure off as well.
yeah, it takes pressure off. You get the grant, but then also like people are going to want to come in and see like the people they know that are their art is in. So like I
hmm
would think they would actually, plus people want to buy their friends' family's art, and so I would think it would actually be a plus to the gallery, not a negative.
Yeah, because I don't really know in terms of like, does she have like a following? Does she have
Mm-hmm.
social media presence? Like,
Yeah, because she has.
how do people know where she is? And
Well, she did that thing in New York, where she was like, I think she has some reputation of like photographing the rodeo.
but is it enough to sustain a gallery? And
Yeah, I wouldn't think. But even if it was, like I would still think that making it a community space would be to the advantage of the gallery. It's not like this is New York City. Like this is a small town.
you have
Support
to
a
sort of make it
gallery.
a tourist type.
Yeah. Or you'd want to work with like like designers, people that are doing condos and things like that. Like a lot of times people will buy art, and stuff like that for places like that.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I just don't see the downside. And I guess if it was a really small space, but it's a huge, like this seems really big, that space.
yeah.
Which by the way, so this episode is written by Heather Conkey and is directed by Michelle Morgan. So Lou herself is directing this one. which is fun. And so Katie wants to start dirt biking. Lou, of course, is like, no, you can't do it. And my dad is actually loves dirt biking. And he's competed in some competitions. And at first it was a big deal to my mom. My mom was really nervous about it because it seemed dangerous. But eventually he won her over on it. I was like, he got enough life insurance policy that it's okay, I guess. No, I mean, you want your loved one to be happy. So, pretty much every activity aside from like reading requires some degree of risk. And certainly certain ones are more. But if you have the helmet on, if you're trained on kind of what to do, like it minimizes the risk quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I think it would be pretty good. I would say go for it, Katie.
Yeah. She needs something. We've been saying that for a while. If it's not a horse thing, then hopefully it's this. And hopefully this will bring her, a whole new group of friends as well.
I mean, I would say it's not any more dangerous with the
than horse
proper
jumping.
equipment.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say than being on the horses.
I mean, Georgie literally just had a
Yeah,
spinal
that's true.
injury. So, like,
yeah, she had to learn to walk again. I mean, it was bad there for a while. So then the thing that really was emotional and worked well in this episode was so Lisa gets word that Dan, her ex, had passed away. And she has a lot of complicated feelings. She's angry at him for not telling her that he was sick, not giving her a chance to say goodbye. She says, I thought we were closer than that. And she doesn't know if she doesn't want to go to the funeral. Just everything with Dan, and then Jack's response and their interactions, I think was very good. It was very well done.
Yeah, he really sort of like balanced her and was like, that line of like, there's a reason that you married them in the first place. Of try to forget all of the stuff from the divorce and all of the recent business issues that they'd had. And just remember who he was and why you were with him in the first place.
The good times and
things,
and Jack is absolutely right that she will regret not going. That as hard emotionally as that kind of thing can be, that
having closure is important.
Yeah, it's really important. And that's why, people talk about having like funerals or not having a funeral, or like in this movie, Love at First Chance. I don't know if you saw that last year. It was really cute. And but one of the plot lines was the male character, they meet on this plane, and he's going home because his mom is having this celebration of life before she passes away. I think she has cancer or something like that. And on surface, that sounds like something that would be cool. Like, why, like, appreciate the people in your life, like, while you're still alive, not, to have the funeral before you die. But one of the things when I was watching that movie, I was just like, you know what? That's actually kind of mean to do to your family, to make them go through that grieving process, like, early when you're still there. And because the funeral and everything is not really about it is obviously about the person, but it's for the grieving. That's what it's for. And you're going to support and the loved ones, and it's just it's not really about the person as much as it's about the grieving people. So but I don't know, I just thought that all really, really worked, and that Lisa was very easy to relate to in those scenes.
Yeah, lots of good Jack and Lisa stuff. The
Mhm.
last few episodes.
Yeah, Jessica, she's so good as
yeah.
Lisa. She's great. But I thought that, and the Jack was so loving and kind and such a support, and you love to see that.
Yeah, and encouraged her enough, not too much. I
And then
mean,
gave her space. Yeah.
mhm.
And I thought it was really sweet too. This relationship between Tim and Katie.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it was nice.
I'm not excited about when Lou finds out, but
Yeah.
but yeah, it's going to be like a good bonding thing for them. So I don't think they've really had like a storyline together at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be good to
Yeah, I
sort of
don't think that
see.
they've really had that much time together, so I think it's going to be cute.
Hmm?
Yeah, and hopefully Lou won't be annoying.
Well, yeah, well, let's
She
wait and see
probably
on
will
that.
be, but it was also a nice plot line with her helping Rick.
Hmm.
It was nice because he's been like basically sleeping over. He's been having conflict with, I think
Hmm.
it's Carl,
Hmm.
and he's a mess.
Yeah,
Rick.
he's not doing well.
No.
But yeah, I really like their like friendship, and hopefully we
Sleeping
just
in the
continue to see
office.
them. Yeah, he's not having the best time. Yeah, and honestly, like being a mayor of this town is like so stressful. Like
No,
some
being a
people
mayor of
do it as
Hudson.
like yeah, like a part-time job of like it's not like if their full-time gig, it's more just like basic management of like a small town. But yeah, like Hudson, it just seems like
I know. My
full on
friend,
politics.
her husband is actually mayor of the town that I live in, the city, Draper. And yeah, it is. I don't think it's full time. I think it's part time. Not in Hudson. Hudson's full time.
Full time.
Yeah. And he's sleeping in the office. He's his marriage is on the skids. It's a problem.
Lou
And
uses our sort of sway to get the the
the
grant.
grant.
Like
Yeah.
apparently the town is in like total upheaval over it. Like how can
Yeah.
how can they find out? I don't know anything that happens in the place I live in.
That's true. Nobody knows who gets what grants or what's going on. That's true. And I like that Lou's just like, you need to find your own Rick.
Mm-hmm.
You need to, and so she's going to babysit. And that would be a fun episode to see Lou babysitting. I forget what the baby's name is. Can't remember, but that would be cute to see that. And so then we have, let's see here. Lou, she says it's hard to say goodbye to the mayor job. She says, I'm a bit off right now. So, she's kind of struggling. And then we see, I mean, it was kind of nice in a way to see Amy struggling with Blue because everything's always, she's so good at everything. Like, oh, okay. But she gets completely bucked off.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good thing Lindy didn't see that when she was scared.
Oh no, back to square one.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was pretty, whoever the stunt was for that did a very good job.
Yeah.
Because it was pretty dramatic getting flung off like that. And it was a nice moment too when Jack asked Amy to ride Blue because he's doing it for Lisa, and it was just sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also just kicks off the start of whatever this romance between Amy and Nathan is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. There was quite a bit of time, which I like to see. I mean, I was kind of sad though that she's not doing more with Edwin.
Mm-hmm.
Because I liked him. In fact, the actor Renee, I'm going to be interviewing him this week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because I thought he was really good.
He's
And
insanely handsome as well.
yes, yes. So that will be fun to talk with him. And I don't know, it just seemed like such a good fit, with but it does make you wonder. So they're doing this with Nathan, but there was like hints about Caleb.
Yeah, I'm just waiting on Caleb coming back.
What are they gonna do?
Yeah.
So then Lou says to Jess, partnerships are hard, especially with me. Which is good. She's self-aware at least.
No truer words spoken.
And Jack tells Lisa, says that you can share anything with me. I want you to be able to share the good and bad times with Dan.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, we were young and stupid. I really wish he had said goodbye to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then she gets she gets a thing in the mail from Dan that says we can only go up from here. It's a thing from their business or whatever.
Yeah.
That he had left to her, and so then she's like, I need to go. And it was very sweet. It was very sweet.
Yeah, and I like that the episode just followed her on the whole journey of, the grief journey is not easy, and this is sort of hinted at that, of all the different stages that she sort of went through in the episode.
Yeah, and that's what makes this show so great, is that you have our core characters, Amy, Jack, Lou, Tim, but then you have all these rich supporting characters that are really important. They're like Jess and Lisa and Georgie, and all this stuff, and Mallory, things like that, and then you have the third tier, somebody like a Dan that can be in an episode here and there, that we got to know, or like a Val Stanton, that every so often can kind of appear and have a plot, and we've gotten to know them, like Will, that I think that's nice too. It's been on so long that you really have these legacy characters, which can just it makes the storytelling all the better.
Yeah, and they've garnered such good faith with so many other actors of they're willing to come back.
Yeah. And even the horses, those are the characters with personalities, and that we've gotten to know, somebody like those Blue with a whole personality. Yeah.
Doesn't like Amy.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, Amy triumphs in the competition. She rocks it as expected. And that is the episode. But these were both really good. I give this one also an 8. I enjoyed them both. So far, a pretty good first half of season 17, I'd say.
Yeah, and the showrunners did a pretty good job of these episodes.
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah. Well, let us know what you think of episodes 4 and 5. We'd love to hear thoughts in the comment section or on Twitter. And Michelle, where can people find you?
On Twitter at Michelle R. Ranson.
And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure that you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And make sure to check out our playlist with all of our Heartland content. Like we said, we just interviewed Chris Potter. More interviews to come. We've talked to Amber a couple times. We talked to Michelle. So, we have a lot of really fun Heartland content. So take a look at that. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate that. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group and merch store. We have some Heartland inspired merch in there, so check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.